IFC are proud to be affiliated with Silent X Energy. With zero sugar, no added caffeine, and all natural ingredients, Silent X Energy will keep you ahead on track. Use code IFC at silentxenergy.com for 10% off any orders.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Race Merchants Podcast, Episode 2. I'm with Carsey, Dan, and the owner himself, Arrows. How are you doing, boys?
All good yourself?
I'm all good.
I'm very good. I'm very good.
Doing well. Very excited for this.
Happy days. So we'll be discussing the pecking order heading to Bahrain, which will take place this weekend. We recorded this on the Thursday, so we don't have any results from the free practices or anything. We're going to give our season predictions today, and we give our review on Drive to Survive. So make sure you stick around for this episode of Race Merchants. So let's kick off with then the pecking order.
Well, I would probably suggest maybe starting with the Drive to Survive and then build up the height.
That's last season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, let's go for it.
Chronological, come on.
Cars, you haven't watched the last episode, but you've watched the first 9, haven't you?
Yeah, I've watched the first 9 exactly.
Yeah.
And that is not a political stance against what happened in Abu Dhabi. I just haven't had the time.
That's the exact same thing with me. I've only watched up to I think like 6 or 7.
I've only watched 1 and 2.
What are your
I'm on
thoughts on
8.
it so far?
I tell a lie, I'm on episode 8.
Tejay, you've watched the whole thing, haven't you?
I watched the entire thing.
Okay.
Steve Verstappen win.
Yeah, I think you should be first to give your opinions, considering you can add the most to it as you've seen the whole thing.
I thought it was alright. I wouldn't give it like an 8 or 10, 8 out of 10 or anything like that, but they faked a lot of rivalries with Tsunoda and Ocon, and then the McLaren drivers, Ricciardo and Norris. But I thought it was right. It got a lot of the controversial moments, and so it was right for me. I wouldn't give it a cracking score, but I enjoyed it at least.
How would you think it compares to previous seasons?
I didn't watch season 3. I can't remember watching that one. The first one I enjoyed because it was the it's the brand new thing. It did Netflix.
Yeah, it was fresh.
Yeah, it was all hype around there, and then it didn't live up to expectations. Season 2 was alright, but I haven't really been a huge fan of the series.
Yeah, so obviously I'm only in episode 9. I don't know what happens in the last episode. Maybe something will happen that will completely change my mind. But I really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm the only person that feels like this year is probably the best they've had for faking rivalries. Like last year with Lando and Sainz was dreadful, but this year I think the only rivalry that isn't a rivalry they had was Ocon and Tsunoda. But I don't even think they tried to make it seem like there was anything between the two. It was more just comparing the fortunes of the two drivers and the seasons. And then I think, from what I saw, obviously there's definitely, as you said, definitely over-dramatized things. But from what I saw, it seemed like Lando and Daniel actually did seem to have some kind of animosity with each other. I remember even around the time people saying that there's reports that they didn't get on well, which is why we didn't have all the fun that everyone was expecting and excited for going into the season. So I actually thought it was somewhat decent for that. Obviously, there's so many dreadful misplaced team radios in places. Like, I remember you could hear, I believe it was Lando maybe, saying that Daniel pushed him off into turn 1, and that really wasn't taken from there, and Daniel didn't even push him off. They were just, like, side by side, and they had plenty of track between them. And then also there was silly stuff. I think we saw Monaco qualifying, like, 3 times, which I thought was a bit ridiculous. And also I remember when they were covering Russell's Spa lap, I think he went through Eau Rouge like 5 times on his on his lap. But that's not the kind of thing that really ruins my enjoyment of it. I just sort of look at it and think that's quite funny. It's a bit stupid. Same with the misplaced team radios, and I also really like the memes that come out with it.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I'll probably have a lot of people disagreeing with me, but I really enjoyed it, to be honest with you.
Pete, you've watched about 6 episodes. What's your thoughts on season 4?
Not gonna lie, I think it's probably the worst one I've seen so far. I really think it is one of the worst ones. Like, obviously, what Carsey just covered, you got the rivalries with obviously Sonoda and Ocon. I don't think that they made them ones up based off the fact because of Alpine and flipping AlphaTauri, and they couldn't really use Alonso and Gasly as like like a prime thing, so they decided just to put those two drivers and categorize them as, oh yeah, they're rivals type of thing. But honestly, I'm only watching it because obviously I want to watch it, but I generally feel like it isn't the best one that they've had.
Yeah, yeah. For the people that are not real F1 fans and wouldn't understand the rivalries between Norris and Ricardo, it probably excites them over it. But for the people that watch Formula One week in, week out, will understand that obviously a lot of it's just a bit rubbish and they put things in different places. So it's good for the wider audience, which has brought in a lot of fans from like USA and things like that. But it hasn't really been great from me, to be honest. Dan, you watched 2 episodes of it. What's your thoughts so far?
Same as usual, really. It's been a very slow starting series. There's not really been much in there at the start, other than the Lando and Daniel rivalry, which I saw. I think that was in episode 2. Other than that, really, it hasn't been that entertaining of a series that I've really been that bothered about sitting and watching, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the slowest one yet.
Yeah, I would agree that I think the first 3 episodes were fairly poor. I think it stepped up a little bit after that. The Haas episode specifically was a
The
great
Haas
one.
one was probably one of the better ones that I have
Yeah.
seen so
It
far.
was a great episode, and I think Mazepin probably paid them off for trying to make him seem likable, and even still looked like just the biggest prick going. I think a lot of people that would have felt sorry for Mazepin at the start of the season would have stopped that after seeing that episode. Like when, just as an example of one thing, when he was standing somewhere and the team came to him and said he needed to get a photo with Mick, and he was just like, "Oh, Mick can come here. I'm not walking over to him," or something.
And then it was the cars. Oh yeah, there's definitely some difference between the cars.
Yeah.
And then
Come on.
there was him talking about the chassis, and then another amazing or great episode I thought was the Sonoda and Ocon one. I know the rivalry was rather silly, but it was sort of going back to what I felt Drive to Survive was back in like 2018, where you're just seeing behind the scenes and really seeing the personality of the drivers, especially Sonoda in that episode when he was really struggling, living in Milton Keynes, calling it the most boring place in the world, and not knowing how to deal with British food. Like that's the sort of the kind of thing that I watch it for. Like I see a lot of people complaining that it's not accurate or not in perfect chronological order or stuff like that. But to be honest, I don't watch it for an accurate season review or whatever. I watch it to see that behind the scenes content and stuff like that we wouldn't be able to see without the show's existence, because otherwise we wouldn't really know about, the likes of Sonoda's struggle with just living in England and stuff like that. I thought he was just moved to Italy to be closer to the team. I didn't know it was actually from his own wishes, because he absolutely despised living in England, stuff like that. So that's why I enjoy it, and I will admit there is some low moments in it, but
Who doesn't despise living in England?
Well, yeah.
well, I wouldn't know.
Well,
I'm
that's
actually
why
going to
Carsey
England
lives
for
in
the
the
first
Northern
year.
Ireland. That's why he's
I'm
in
going
Northern
to
Ireland.
England for the first time in my life on tomorrow. So I'll get back to you on that one.
Where you going?
London
Oh,
for
shit.
the UFC.
Also, what's the
Shut up.
UFC? Who's fight then?
Paddy the Body's fighting.
He's
Dan
class.
Hooker's fighting, who is one of my friend's favorites, so we're going to be supporting him. And then Volkov is the main event, which should be interesting, but I'm not that excited for that one. It's more the Paddy the Body and Dan Hooker fights, and I'm really looking forward to.
Right, so we know that the season ended in a lot of controversy with Michael Massey and the last lap, like the racing. And none of you have watched the final episode of Drive to Survive yet. So,
Nope.
what's your opinions on what could go down in episode 10?
I doubt they'll will have had cameras in there, but I'd love to see a camera view from the steward's room to see how that decision was made. because I don't put full blame on Massey. I don't think team bosses should have ever been allowed to talk to the FIA. He had two people in his ear pressurising him to do it. Now it's on him for succumbing to the pressure, but it would be a hard decision for anyone to make, because if he didn't let them lap, then all the Max fans and the Red Bull people would have been fuming, because that seemed like the wrong decision at the time. And then with what he did, we would have had all the Mercedes fans and them very annoyed. So I would have liked to have seen how that decision was made, but I've no idea if that is actually in the episode.
Do you know the team radio? Is that something that they've done? Like, were they able to speak to the FIA pre this season?
As far as I know, they were, and they just didn't broadcast it. But I could very well be wrong with that.
Yeah. What was your two thoughts, Dan and Pete, on the last lap that went down in Abu Dhabi?
I'll be honest. I was at work. I was giving my my boss a bit of a stick, because he's quite a big Hamilton fan, and I was giving him a bit of stick over it. But looking back, I think it was possibly the wrong call to make. If they were going to let lapped cars unlap themselves, it shouldn't have just been a select few. It should have been the whole group of cars. But at the end of the day, we don't know what was going on inside that steward's room. We don't really know the full story of who was pressuring who and what made what decision. So it's a little bit of a sticky situation to find yourself in, and I don't think some of the stick Massey has got, I don't think is fair, because whichever way, like you said, the decision made, there'd still be unhappy people, and it would probably end up in the same situation.
Yeah, well, Peter's just left the course. We won't be able to get his opinion on it.
Yeah, his Wi-Fi's been playing up.
Yeah. Have any of you seen the Will Buxton memes? Like, he said some very, like, just obvious things, and people be making out that, I don't know, I have to try and find it on my phone, but they say
I must say,
stuff.
he's like, in Formula One, you have to turn the wheel.
Yeah, stuff like that.
The car. Yeah, stuff like that. You just mentioned Will Buxton there has, I think this, I don't know, maybe this would be a good title and thumbnail for clickbait. I've got a story about Will Buxton that I think, did I tell you about this, Tejay?
Yeah, you've told me.
It's the one that I've got a message about in admin chat, Carsey.
It's very possible. I think it's, yeah, it is what you've just messaged me. Yeah. Do you think I should tell that story?
That's up to you.
Oh, that's your call on that one, Carsey.
No, you know what? If there's enough demand, maybe I will eventually, but I don't know if it's, I don't know if I should. I'll leave it.
25 likes, right? And we'll.
No, I need more than that to give away this one.
Well,
Come
give
on.
Give a number.
If we get 100 likes, this is a big story. You can set a smaller like over something else, but 100 likes for that one. 100 likes.
Another meme, yeah. Every 60 seconds in Formula 1, a minute passes. That's something, just the complete obvious things that you would say.
Yeah, that's it was quite bad from him, but I guess he does have to really dumb it down and explain it for people that are new to the sport. Like, for example, I watch it with my parents, and my mum isn't into Formula 1, so she would have a lot explained. But then I feel like I'm going, if you're in pole position, it's good, because that means there's 19 drivers behind you. Is maybe a bit too much. So yeah, I think I think I'll enjoy the memes that will be made from it, but I think it was a bit overboard.
Right, let's head on then to Bahrain. That's coming up this weekend. This podcast will probably be uploaded Friday or Saturday, but we're recording this on Thursday, so we have no idea about free practice 1, free practice 2. We've only seen like testing so far, so what's your takes on that? And we'll run to the pecking order in very soon.
Do you want me to, or us to give our what we think will be from 1 through 10 as to that, or?
Yeah, who's your top team after testing? Who thinks the favourites?
Do you want to go first then?
Yeah. The team that impressed me the most in testing was Ferrari. I think both the drivers looked very strong, to be honest. Leclerc and Sainz. obviously we didn't really get to see much of McLaren. I think this weekend, I think it'll be quite a struggle for McLaren, really, with Ricciardo just recovering from COVID and Lando really being the only one that's had a decent amount of time in the car before this weekend. So I think the Ferraris will definitely be the surprise package of the season, and I think they could certainly put sort of a challenge on the top two teams. But I think ultimately, I think it will be a Red Bull and Mercedes top two again come the end of the season. But I think Ferrari, I don't think will be as far down as people would be expecting after the last few seasons they've had. I think the surprise package actually for this season will be Haas. Both drivers, especially on the last 2 days of testing, if we're looking at how they did, obviously Magnussen and Schumacher both impressing really in the last 2 days. So that was quite impressive for me anyway. And I think Haas could be quite a surprise this season after all the controversy over the end of the season.
Yeah, let me just very quickly. I saw a video from the race recently where they gave the top predictions for the top 10 based on like analysis of times and whatever, and they actually had Williams in last, which surprised me. I didn't. I would have thought it would have been Alfa Romeo. So they had Williams in last. I believe Alfa in ninth. I want to say. I believe they had Alpine in eighth. Then AlphaTauri 7th, Aston Martin 6th, Haas 5th, and then 4th McLaren, 3rd Mercedes, 2nd Ferrari, and 1st Red Bull, I think. Yeah, by the lap times, we're going to have Mercedes in 3rd from there, but there's no way they'll show up this weekend, I think, without having a massive improvement on pace as to what that was. So I would probably put them maybe even first. I actually saw... Well, I want your opinions on this. I saw a video very, very recently where this girl was talking. I thought when I first saw it, oh, this is madness, that Mercedes actually had those thin side pods in Barcelona.
Huh?
And the side pods we saw were actually, like, there was nothing going on inside them apart from just hiding the thin ones.
All right, okay.
And she said this. I thought, this is madness. She showed a photo that kind of showed this, where you could look in through the little quote-unquote like vent in the side pods, and you could sort of see behind that. I thought it was mad until someone, I can't remember, I think he's some like kind of designer who's very respected in the F1 world, said, look, I think this theory's correct.
Yeah.
And it seems to be that this is very possibly what they've done, and they obviously got that data in Barcelona with the thin side pods that no one realised.
Yeah, that's the first time I viewed that, but if that's true, then fair play to Mercedes, because I don't think many people have caught on to that.
Yeah.
Oh, Aiden, hello. Are you joining us?
Yeah, sure. Do we
Happy
know what... Have we seen that they're running the thin side pods at Bahrain? Have we seen their car yet?
I don't know yet.
Is it not on Twitter or something?
I've seen a photo of the entire grid, but I'm not sure if that was pre the Bahrain test or that was like all the media things.
I think normally they build their car tonight, but don't
Yeah.
they don't ship it as a whole car.
No. Well, they're already out there as well, to be fair.
Yeah, but that's an interesting
that is true,
topic.
actually. I forgot about that. I forgot they're already there, so that's a good... But yeah, it won't be the same, actually. There's no real reason for them to take their car apart.
Yeah.
Well, say Ferrari, I've noticed, I feel like Ferrari this season are going to be very fast towards the start of the season, but they're probably going to fall off a little bit later on in the season. Their car just... Ferrari's car almost just looks like the only one to me on that grid that looks absolutely complete. Like, it just looks like it works as one car, and there's not much room for anything that they can add on or take off. So I feel like there won't be maybe much room for development. I remember back when the Haas and Aston Martin were first revealed, the Aston Martin having much bigger side pods than the Haas. Someone had said, again, someone very respected on the technical side, had said that you can either go for those wider, the thinner ones, and the wider ones are probably the safer one to do, but there isn't as much room for improvement in it as there is with thinner ones. So that will be yet to be seen. So I said, don't think at all that the pecking order we see at the first race will be the same as the pecking order we will see later on in the season.
Found an interview, in Dutch from Gunther Steiner, and he was talking about how last year Haas were also toying with the idea of no side pods, and they did a lot of CAD and simulator work with it. And they thought that it could work very well, but they just weren't able to make it work. But they recognised that apparently it gives a large benefit in slow corners.
Yeah,
But that's where Mercedes are though at the moment. They've said that they're doing so much better in the slow, if I'm correct, and they're struggling in the high, fast corners.
It's weird because it's the exact opposite of like the kind of past 7 years of Mercedes' philosophy of cars, where they were rapid through the kind of high downforce, high speed, and then a bit relatively like clunky through the slow. That's why I like shit at Monaco for so many years.
Excuse me, Singapore in previous years. I've just sent a photo into the admin chat of the thin ones next to the thick ones, and you can sort of see in, and it looks like you can see basically the outline of those under what looks like a shell of the.
I'll put this photo onto the video so people can see what you mean.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about, and it's very, very sneaky and smart of them if that is what they've actually done.
Right. Dan just pointed on Haas. He said that they're doing pretty well. What are your expectations for them this season?
I guess I'll go. I really think if you would have told me about a month ago that at day 2 of Bahrain testing would see Kevin Magnussen in first in the Haas, I would have called you a liar. And obviously their best time in testing was faster than their qualifying time last year, and in these cars that are meant to be slower. So they've definitely made big improvements. How big? That's yet to be seen, because anyone could sort of go and set that lap on that grid. I'm fairly confident, because most people just were not going to the best of their ability. But yeah, they're looking a lot better, and their Spain testing, they didn't look particularly reliable, but their car looked pretty decent out in Bahrain.
Yeah.
I think I'm most interested in is that, well, what's really nice about this is we'll get a proper read on Mick Schumacher. As last year, we really couldn't judge him because he had one of the worst cars ever next to like a very weak driver for F1 standards. But like Magnussen's a known quantity in F1. We know how good he is. We know what the kind of level Magnussen brings, and it looks like they've got a decent car. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what level Schumacher's actually at, because we haven't really been able to see that yet.
That's true.
Dan, what's your thoughts on Haas? What are you expecting from them this season?
I'm expecting a very strong season from them, to be honest. I think, obviously, last season, I think they stopped development of the car after the first race of the season, didn't they, if I'm not mistaken? So I think, obviously, they've definitely put a lot of time and a lot of effort into making sure this car for this season is right. And I think they'll be probably the biggest surprise package of the season, alongside Ferrari, about how strong they're going to be.
Nice. So with Alfa Romeo, and I want to get your thoughts on these, because for the first, I would say, 5 days, I didn't see a lot from them. I thought they were going to be rock bottom of the pack, but Alfa Romeo on the final day, Bottas on the C3s was like a second, I think, off the top. I think I caught a lot of people's eyes that lap time. What are your thoughts on Alfa Romeo?
I still think they'll be the worst car this year. I would have thought it was Haas, but I think Haas will surprise me more, so I'll put them above Alfa Romeo. I'll say they're still going to be pretty much nowhere, but I could be wrong. They could be waiting on something.
Agree. I feel like the times were like fairly insignificant. It's more about like how the car looked, because I think every team on the grid could beat the fastest time in the testing if they really wanted to. I don't think that it's just how hard they're pushing. Like how Alfa Romeo, I believe, were probably just pushing their car quite a bit harder than other competitors, but it didn't look strong, and I think Zhou will struggle.
Definitely.
I think Zhou will really struggle, because
Bottas is a hell of a driver, really.
Yeah, no, Bottas is a class driver. Like he's basically just kind of one tier below a world championship contender driver.
Yeah, he's a Rubens Barrichello almost.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he's like a Rubens level driver who's very respected. You know, how many? He's got like 20 poles and 10 race wins, and I think Joe will really struggle because he was like got dominated in a couple of seasons of F2, finished seconds to a rookie last year in his third year. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we'll probably in qualifying see another like Russell versus Latifi where Bottas will probably out qualify him every race. But one thing about Bottas is that man just cannot defend or overtake to save his life. And when you're in the midfield, fighting so many cars that are usually so close together, that could spell disaster for him. So I could see him falling down quite a lot in races and whatnot. But it's still not enough, obviously, for Joe to beat him.
I mean,
but I don't think anyone expects Joe to beat him.
No driver would be afraid to just send it down the inside of Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
It's like the Ayrton Senna clip of where he's talking about if you just let me dive down the inside, I'm going to do it every time because I know you'll back out. And I feel like pretty much everyone on the grid knows that. I don't know if it's just he's so like determined to not get in an incident but whatever it is, he's very timid, like in the wheel to wheel.
He's like one of the easiest to overtake.
Yeah,
it's
not the easiest.
Yeah, and he's going to be like battling like Tsunoda, who's one of the most gung ho in the field. He's going to. Oh.
Sure, we saw Abu Dhabi. Tsunoda launched him from about 300 meters back, and Bottas just kind of let him.
He's down through.
The Tsunoda send on Stroll at Brazil or that shit like that. He would just let him through.
Yeah, 100%.
The only good thing that will come out of this for Zhao is the fact that he's got a decent experienced driver who he knows he can probably learn a hell of a lot of things from.
That is true.
Right,
Bottas will be great for the team.
Right, we've had 2 questions come in from Sky On, right? And the first one,
of course,
the first one is the porpoising. And he said, "Will the porpoising cause terminal damage in the race for anyone?" Well, what's your thoughts on porpoising?
I think.
Okay, go ahead, Ian.
I think that it is a very solvable issue for the teams. It's largely like setup based. That if they all just ran their cars a little bit higher, they would have no porpoising. And I think in testing they're all just trying to find the absolute limit, which is why we saw it so much. Because with a ground effect car, you want to run it as low as possible. So they're all going to be pushing the limit of how low they can run their car. But I don't think any team will risk running it so low that they'll porpoise significantly in the race.
I think no one will have to retire from significant damage caused by it that will mean the car won't work as much, but I wouldn't be surprised if after some race the FIA will be looking at each car and they'll look at the floor and they'll realise that like the underboard of one of the cars has been like worn out a little bit much and might penalise them for that or something. I wouldn't be surprised at that, just because the scraping off the ground, especially if it's bouncing just a little bit, going over however many laps could end up causing some wear, but I don't think it'll be enough damage or anything dramatic enough to cause anyone to retire on the spot or anything.
Dan, what's your thoughts on the porpoising that we've seen in testing?
I completely agree with what Aiden said, to be honest. I think it's predominantly setup based, and I think if they get the setups correct, I think it's something that can easily be rectified and easily ruled out. I don't think in a race situation it'll be something that's that effective, really.
Yeah, I think the worst car we've actually probably seen out of all 10 of them is the Mercedes. They look, I think they're the worst car for porpoising.
They'll fix that though, but it gets to a point where if they find out that this porpoising isn't going to cause damage to the car or anything that will slow them down or make them retire, running a lower ride height is.
I mean, they were on skid blocks. So it doesn't really damage the car.
Yeah,
Bottoming out doesn't damage the car.
Running a lower ride height is faster. The only difference is it will be very uncomfortable for the driver. So at what point does a team say, screw it, we're going to make our driver uncomfortable to have that performance advantage? And then if someone does that and it works out for them, does that mean everyone will start doing that and then it will become a massive issue? Or will no one go to that level during a race and rather just be safe?
After Spain, George Russell said in I think it might be in a press conference, that it could end up becoming a safety concern, which the FIA might have to look at. Somebody just left the call. I'm not sure who it was.
It's just Peter's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's in Wi-Fi, yeah. But Russell said it could cause a safety concern, and the FIA would have to take a look at how serious this issue could get for all the teams, because if it becomes a safety concern, well, I'm not sure what they would do, to be honest, but yeah.
This would all be addressed in like FP1 and 2 and stuff. Like they'd be able to see the cars. Like if it's violently porpoising and they think it's dangerous, then they'll tell them earlier on. They won't tell them like during the race or anything.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Also, just scrolling through Twitter, I found something interesting. Is that because everyone's so obsessed with Mercedes side pods, no one noticed that they ran 4 completely different front wings and 2 completely different rear wings.
Really?
Yeah. They were all so focused on their piston side pods. The rest of their
side pods, the most
different like multiple times, and we had no idea.
It's mad. It just shows if you're focusing on one thing, how oblivious you become to so many other things.
Right. The final question that Skyon gave me was, who will win the Bahrain Grand Prix? Who wants to go first? Sainz.
You think Sainz?
That's a shout. That is a shout.
That's interesting.
Saying that like it's crazy.
Dan?
I think it will be one of the Ferraris. I'm not too sure which. I think we'll be able to find out more come
on, Danny. You have to get off the fence, mate. Come on.
The end of qualifying. I think I think Leclerc might have a stronger season than Sainz this season, and I think it could potentially be his race to win. I think you could potentially see a double Ferrari podium this weekend, that's for sure.
I'm going to say Verstappen. I still think Mercedes will probably win the championship, but I think it might take them a couple of races to really harness as much performance as they can from the side pods. So I think they might be a little bit off where they want to be in Bahrain, but definitely better than they're letting on. And then maybe the European season or so, that's when they'll really start to flare up. So I'm going to say Verstappen for the start of the season here.
Yeah, I think Verstappen as well will win it. I just think that in terms of just raw pace, we've seen on the final day of testing that I think Red Bull stepped up a gear. They brought some new parts, which I think will just put them one step ahead of the Ferraris. But this weekend could be the redemption that Leclerc will get after 2019 when his I'm not sure what happened. There's an engine-related issue, but which he lost the race win with. Yeah. So we could see redemption for him. And Arrows is just, Pete just joined back the call. Pete, who's going to win the Bahrain Grand Prix, but
I mean, his Wi-Fi is still bad.
Calm, nice.
Nice, tidy. Just been blanked.
He's typing.
Oh, he's typing, okay.
Anyways, I've got a question, not from anyone, from myself. How do you think, there's usually one, at least, surprise winner a year, Gasly 2020, Ocon 2021. Do you think there will be a surprise winner this year, and if so, who?
My hat out there, and I'm going to say Stroll will win a race.
Yeah, Joe, I say the same as well. I think one of the Aston Martins, I think, could win a race this year.
Yeah,
not down the pace.
Stroll's a bigger surprise, but don't know.
He always has that one race every year that he comes out of nowhere. I can't think of one from 2021, but he had the pole in Turkey.
He had Monza, he got like 6th or 5th or something.
Yeah, a good race in Monza. 2020, he had the pole in Turkey. And he picked up a few podiums. Yeah. He had the podium in Azerbaijan in his first year, so he definitely picked up one race.
Pete is saying that Lewis is going to win the Bahrain Grand Prix. And he thinks Big Shock is going to be Seb. Same as you, I guess.
Go on, Pete.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'd love Seb to do it.
He's back.
I just don't think he will.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, it works now. Happy days. Yeah, so I generally think Lewis will win. But I don't think Max is going to be so far behind him.
Mm.
And obviously Russell will get third over Perez because he's a better driver.
I think if Mercedes do win the Grand Prix, the influx of the what's it called? Their appeal for technical regulations of their cars is going to be insane. Just know Adrian Newey and Christian Horner are going to be living in. Who's the new race? What's the new race director called?
Oh, there's 2 of them. Can't remember.
I have no idea.
2 of them.
Yeah, it's 2 of them.
Was it always 2, or they decided it's 2?
2 of them this time.
So
it was
duo.
Cool. A few years ago, Charlie Whiting had a kind of deputy to him, which I think they're gonna kind of run the same system again, where I'm not sure who the race directors are, but they're gonna have one main one, which was Charlie Whiting, and then another one then, which the teams can speak to. So they won't be speaking to like what they were doing last season with Michael Massey, but they'll be speaking through someone else, and then they'll be in contact with the main director.
Yeah. That's
Right.
right.
So you're
I
going to see
also
the-
think that Lando might actually be able to win a race this year,
Yeah, I
providing
think
they
so.
get the car perfect.
I think
It
so.
could be his time, but he missed out in Russia, so it could be his time to win a race.
Yeah, I think so. I think he deserves it as well.
Right. Should we head
Think
on
about-
then? Go on.
Because there's always talks about a 11th team joining, maybe Andretti or something. What do we think about that? There's also talks of Audi and or Porsche entering F1 as well. What do we think about?
I'd love to see Porsche in F1. I think that'd be class.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
I just love Porsche as a car company, so I'd love to see them in F1 as well.
Yeah. One of the things with Andretti and Haas coming together after, like, obviously Uralkali left, well, not left, they were just told to piss off out with Formula One.
I know Andretti talked with Sauber, didn't they? Alfa Romeo.
Yeah,
To try and buy that out, but that didn't work.
I prefer to see them as like rival American teams than to merge as one. I think that'd be an interesting dynamic to have.
I think just get rid of one of the feeder teams. Just get like I don't know. Yeah, like Sauber. Like who cares about Alfa Romeo really? Oh, can we not just have 11?
It just
Well,
sounds
yeah,
like an extra
Yeah,
team.
I think you can have up to 13 teams. in F1 right now.
13.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
When was the
Oh,
last
fuck.
time you had more than 10 on the grid? 2000, what would it be, 16, is it? 17?
really?
Oh,
When was
it's
Manor
longer
in?
than that.
When was Manor in? Was Manor the last
Manor left in 2016 was their last season.
one? Yeah.
And then before that, there was Caterham as well.
Yeah.
But obviously there was no Haas. And then before that, there was also HRT. So there would have been 12 teams in 2010, am I right? Or was
Which
Yeah,
season are we
at
talking
one
about
point
now?
there was like 24
2010?
cars. Yeah.
Was there 12 teams?
I'll have a quick Google search. You guys keep.
2010, I think there was 12 teams. Because you had Marussia, or Virgin at the time, Lotus, Caterham, and HRT.
Mm.
Yep, 12 teams.
12 teams, yeah. Because no Haas with those three instead.
12 teams back then. Yeah.
Alright, yo then.
Wait, who is? Oh, I never knew HRT was called Hispania Racing Team.
Did you not know that?
Well,
They're Spanish, right?
I was 6
Was
years old in 2010, alright?
Ah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
We're not all old men like you.
I remember watching 2010. It was a good season. It was a great one. Remember jumping up and down when Vettel won the title in Abu Dhabi. It was great.
I thought HRT was the hormone replacement team, or was that just like a...
It's
Dorky
hormone
name,
replacement therapy. That is a thing. I remember
Yeah.
first. I remember.
Why
like,
the fuck would a
vividly-
team be called?
I
have
remember
no idea.
vividly being what would
Demented.
have been I would have been 8 or 9 years old, and I remember saying to mum about HRT, and she was like, "What?" And she didn't realize there's an F1 team with that name. So yeah, that's definitely a thing, but that's not what they're called.
No. Why would you think a racing team is called? Named
Hormone
after
replacement team.
Jesus, man. Your head out the gut.
Disgusting, Tejay.
Disgusting.
Right. Should we head into our official season predictions and lock them in?
Oh,
I think that's be a good time.
I've put 0 thought into it. I'm not prepared.
I
I'm
mean,
not
you know
sure.
what we should do is we could talk about it, and then when we upload it, we'll have like a graphic to show them.
You mean like an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, which Aiden is always on it to make.
Am I about to have to open Google Sheets right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, no worries.
So what are we saying then? All 10 constructors we doing, or?
Do you want me to say mine first? Because I've already got them written down.
Go on then.
Carsey
Give
did
me
his
a
TikTok,
second. I'm
didn't
gonna
he?
make a spreadsheet. Then.
Carsey did a TikTok on
Yeah,
this. Must
but
be
I've
amazing.
got them written down on my phone, so I can. I'll just do this while you still put some thought into it.
Is it pre-testing or
In
post-testing?
fairness, in fairness, I did make this prediction back in December, so there was absolutely nothing other than a hunch.
I don't
So
want excuses, because we just want your list.
my constructors: 10th Haas, which I already think is going to be wrong. 9th AlphaTauri, 8th Alfa Romeo, 7th Williams, 6th Aston Martin,
I'll type
Fifth.
this quickly.
5th Alpine, fourth McLaren, third Red Bull, second Mercedes, and first Ferrari. I think some of that I still agree with, but a lot of it I now disagree with. But I'm going to lock it in, and if I was right back then I'll look like an absolute
It was
genius.
6th and 7th.
6th, Aston Martin, 7th, Williams.
Okay, thank you.
Pete,
But we didn't
what's
drive,
your
we just
top
did
10?
constructors.
I think you should do drivers as well, but just do top 5 of the drivers.
Let's run through the constructors now then. So Pete, what's your 10? What's your rundown?
Well, I'm gonna put 10 as Alfa Romeo,
Yeah, I think that's what I'd do now if I hadn't already made my predictions.
and then I'm gonna go Haas. I think Williams will finish in front of the Haas, and then it'll be Alpine, AlphaTauri, Aston Martin. I'll agree with Carsey on Red Bull being 3rd, but then I'm going to swap them over, and I think the Mercedes will focus and knuckle down on everything that they've figured out. So it'll be Ferrari 2nd and Mercedes 1st again.
Is that McLaren 4?
Yeah.
Okay. TJ, what are you saying?
Right, I'm gonna go Alfa Romeo last, then Williams in 9th, Alpine in 8th. I'm writing it down at the same time, so bear with me.
Sorry, yeah, we know you know English is difficult, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, second language and all that. Yeah. Haas in 7th. Did I say 8th? Yeah, Alpine 8th. Yeah. Haas 7th. Alfa or Aston Martin. AlphaTauri P6. Aston Martin P5. McLaren P4. Ferrari P3, Red Bull P2, then Mercedes to win the constructors. That's my 10.
Okay, I'm just writing it down.
And
Okay,
Dan?
so I similarly think Alfa Romeo will be a stone cold last. But I think Alpine are 9th. I think Alpine look dead.
Really?
I think Alpine look fucking dusty.
They'll be
Then,
alright.
nah, they're dead. Then Williams. Then Haas. AlphaTauri. Aston Martin. I haven't thought as far ahead. McLaren 4th. We all put McLaren 4th. But I think
Yeah, I
I'll
think
go.
that's
I think I'll go Mercedes to win. Ferrari 2nd. Red Bull 3rd. Yeah, I think that's right.
Daniel,
agreed.
my favourite person
I've
from
agreed
Pablo.
with pretty much everyone in P10 Alfa Romeo. 9th, Williams. 8th, I've gone for Alpine. 7th, Haas. 6th, AlphaTauri. 5th, McLaren. 4th, Aston Martin. 3rd,
Ooh,
Red
I
Bull.
like that.
2nd, Mercedes, and then Ferrari to win the constructors.
50. I like Aston Martin in 4th that you gone with, so
Yeah, I like that a lot.
yeah.
No, I think McLaren looked better to me at least.
Yeah, they
but,
do.
and I just think I think their drivers are clear. But
Alright, what are you trying to say?
Oh, you can't say that to
no,
Carsey.
you're trying to say that Seb now is better than Norris now?
Easy.
Okay.
No
Oh,
chance, Carsey.
Okay. Sure.
No chance.
He's clear, he's
All
clear.
the Norris fanboys in you.
I know.
I mean, while we're on the actual subject of Bahrain, where is Mr. Hulkenberg actually going to finish this weekend?
Okay, I can't see him doing too well. He's had no time in the car, like.
I can't see him going to Q1.
I think he'll firm it. I think he'll get like I don't know.
He'll be in top
We don't
10,
know. We don't even
I'd
know how good the
expect.
car is. So like,
Yeah, that's
he
awesome.
could have the worst car. So like,
Do you think he'll beat Stroll in quali?
No,
I
Yes.
I
don't
don't.
know
think
about
I
quali.
don't.
Nah.
I don't.
Yes.
Do you think he'll beat him in the race?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we all know
Yeah.
what
Yes.
fucking Lance is like in races.
He's alright.
Lance isn't that bad anymore. He's not that bad. Like Hulkenberg has such a rose-tinted glow. He wasn't that good. He's actually was like he was alright, but he was pretty dead. Like he did like how many races? He probably did like over 100 races. I know it's quite unlucky to not get a podium, but at some point,
I
gotta
think the main reason he didn't get a podium is himself, to be fair.
exactly.
Is-
At some point, you have to
His
look at
best
yourself in the
chance,
mirror.
wasn't it Germany where it was absolutely raining, was his best chance?
Yeah, and he
And I
shunted.
saw him crash.
Yeah, he bottled it.
I saw him
Bottled
just
job.
bin it. Yeah.
Every now and then, I'll watch an old race, and you'll watch like Ricardo will qualify like P7 in the Renault, and he'll be in like P17 or something. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think he's. Everyone looks back so fondly on people who've left. No one rated him that much when he was in F1.
Like I rated him decently, to be fair, but he's not. He's definitely not as good as people think he is after he's gone.
Did he
But we'll
beat
see. Maybe
Ricardo?
he'll prove me wrong.
In the
Maybe he'll
first
prove me
year,
wrong.
did he beat Ricardo?
Well,
Or he was beating him at
I
the
don't
start,
think
but
so.
then
What
yeah,
year were they?
He was beating him very well for a bit, but I don't think he ended up. beating
What year was their
Ricardo
first
really
year
in the
in
whole
Renault?
time.
Was it
2019.
2017? No, 18.
No, 19. Isn't it?
No, it was 19. It was 19.
Was it 19? Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
I'm interested now. Very
That's
interested in this.
championship. Ricardo 54 points, Hulkenberg 37 points.
Oh, he didn't beat him in.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
He was looking a lot better at the start, and then
And Ricardo had a lot more retirements.
Right, okay, should we head then into the driver standings and our predictions for that?
sure. Who wants to go
Right.
first?
If you want to go first again, go for it.
So don't you have yours that loads up?
Am I going first?
Yeah, go
What,
for it.
do you not already have them?
Okay. No, I
Are
don't.
we
have
just doing top
drivers.
5 or something?
Yeah, top 5. So fifth, I'm gonna go for George Russell in fifth. In fourth, I'm gonna say Carlos Sainz. Third, Max Verstappen. Second, Lewis Hamilton, and first, Charles Leclerc.
Leclerc were champion. Leclerc were
I
champion.
just can't see Leclerc being that far ahead of Sainz.
Nah, I can't either. I can't see it.
He's not that much better than him in my opinion.
I rate Sainz massively too, but I don't know. I feel like it's his year.
But you think? But I just don't think Leclerc is much better than Sainz. So if Leclerc's winning it, I can't see Sainz finishing fourth.
Maybe it will be close in points. I don't know, but I feel like Leclerc's gonna win it.
I think it'll be like a 2010 season. No,
Yeah, could well be,
could be.
but I doubt it. It never really happens with new regulations.
2010 was somewhat new regulation.
I know, but it was new regulations made on the existing ones to make it closer rather than a complete overhaul, if you know what I mean.
Or just the banning of double diffusers and stuff.
Yeah, which is what
Okay.
put teams
Pete.
ahead.
Well, in fifth, I'm gonna go for Lando,
Okay.
Cool.
and then fourth, I'm gonna put Leclerc, and then third, I think Russell's gonna have such a good year, so I'm gonna put Russell third. Then obviously Max, and then Lewis is the winner.
Okay. I think that's fair.
I like Norris in the top 5. I think he could do good this year. I back him.
Go on, then, what's it
But he's,
like?
but he's not in my top 5.
Oh, okay. So if he can be in the top 5,
So you don't
he's not in the
back
top
him.
5.
I think he could
So
be,
you
but
don't
he's not in
think he
mine.
can be in the top 5?
No, I think he could be, but I don't think he will. But he could be. Right, I got
Anyone
Leclerc in
could be.
5th. I got Leclerc 5th. Sainz in 4th. Russell 3rd. Verstappen 2nd, and then Hamilton
I
2rd.
wasn't listening. You have to
Sorry,
start
who did you say? Oh,
Leclerc.
Russell. I just heard the sole part, and I thought you said Stroll.
Oh, no.
Can you start again, please, TJ? I wasn't
Right.
listening.
5th, Leclerc. 4th, Chili Man Carlos Sainz. George Russell 3rd. Verstappen 2nd, and then Hamilton to win the 8th World Championship.
Okay. I think. Oh, what do I think? I don't even know what I think. I think Hamilton will win,
That's it.
followed by Leclerc. I think Verstappen 3rd, Sainz 4th, and Russell 5th.
There is
I think
literally
it'll
no
be
point.
fairly close though.
There is literally no point me reading mine out, Aiden, because mine is exactly the same as what you've just said.
Okay, lovely. I'll just copy and paste that over then.
Fair. None of us put Perez in the top 5.
No.
None of us, I don't think, anyways.
I think that the Red Bull will be the third best car, but I think Verstappen is able to get so much out of it that he'll still be able to finish P3 in the drivers. Is basically how I'm looking at it. I think it will go like over the full season. I think Merc and Ferrari will be quite close in terms of the pace of their car, and Hamilton will edge that one. And then I just see Verstappen is able to get so much more out of that car than Perez will be able to.
I think that the top 3 cars will be so close together. Right? I think Perez is not the worst because he's not a terrible
He's like
driver,
the weak
but
link.
yeah, he's the worst driver of the top 6. That's not bad. He's not, he's the 6th best. Yeah, he's not a bad driver, but yeah, I can't see Perez cracking into the top 5.
Unless Red Bull have the best car, but
Yeah,
I just don't think they do.
Yeah.
Is that it then?
I think so. I'm not doing like another 10-minute outro of the silent X message, right? So, who's gonna do this week?
Cut and paste the old one in.
We could do. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it then. We've done 50 minutes of this podcast, so not quite the hour that we done last week.
That's a good amount.
But I don't think there's any other things we've got to cover now before we head into Bahrain for this weekend.
Look forward to it. See how wrong we are in every way.
Yes, definitely. Right.
Where we get like a surprise win out of no one.
Magnussen wins the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yeah. The
Hulkenberg.
from the light.
Yeah. Right, episode 3, and when have we got a date for that? Episode 3?
Well, we could organise.
Is it in the plans? Is it in the plans?
That could be in the first race, like.
Yeah, I assume in between Bahrain and whatever the second race is.
Jeddah.
Right.
The second race is Jeddah.
I know. That amazed me when I heard it.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Right. Hoil Vaur, everybody. Shalom.